Hey, wonderful patrons. Thanks for being a patron of Everyday Juggler. Hopefully, we can take things to the next level with the little bit that you're providing to help Everyday Juggler keep on going. Logan agreed to come on and talk a little bit more with us. So, thanks for being with us, Logie, again.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah.
And Logie does a lot of different stuff with all the different props. He's got a bunch of shows, and one thing I've seen him do a lot of videos I've seen him post are of hat juggling. And Logie was gonna give us some more specific kind of instructions or ideas, or some ways that he's been practicing hat juggling lately. So, Logie, what do you got?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've been playing a lot with this last while is a lot of the body rules and chest rules and like shoulder rules with hats is trying to isolate the rule or the movement of the rule down to just my wrist and just my fingers with the idea that if I can if I can put the action of getting the hat from my hand to my other hand or across my shoulders just using the flick of my wrist and pushing a lot with my ring finger means that I can put my body in different positions but still have the same speed in the roll. So for example, if you're rolling across your chest, I can start my right hand on my left side and roll it across, and I don't have to push my body into it to keep the hat on with having the speed and the control of it from the very start. Or the idea of trying to get, starting with my wrist or my arms flat by my side and rolling it up my arms across my shoulder and back down my other arm in a sort of L or a rectangle shape, but being able to get all the speed from my wrist and my finger. It means that you don't have to move into it or control your arms as much to get that movement.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not super familiar with hat juggling or hat rolling. Um, is using the ring finger standard, or is that something that you're kind of working on?
I, some people use the ring finger. Other people uh, tend to use just their a sort of like a pinch grip with your index, middle finger, and thumb
Mm,
to get a lot of the spin.
mm-hmm.
But I find my ring finger seems to be the ring finger seems to be the strongest and has the most movement in that kind of position of rolling the hat.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going for like a sort of a reverse wrist or like a rubber wrist style roll.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so, as far as keeping the hat balanced on your body, what have you found to be the most important? The speed, or the rotation, or the balance?
I find if you can kind of like staying on a bicycle, the faster you cycle, the easier it is to stay upright. So I find that the speed is pretty important to keep the balance.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you can accumulate as much of the speed as possible from the initial roll, instead of having to elevate your arm to help grab or to get gravity to help you with the roll,
Mm-hmm.
has made a big difference to a lot of the stuff.
Mm-hmm. What does a normal hat juggling practice segment of your practice session look like?
And normal hat juggling. I used to always have a bad habit of I would learn as soon as I learn a trick would be to move on and do the next trick instead of drilling it. So I've started now. I've got three, maybe 1 or 2 minute long routines that aren't aesthetically pleasing, but are just all the tricks I've been working on in the last year, just added together in a way that they kind of remotely flow.
Mm,
So it means that I can just drill these tricks to make sure I've got them or still have them. And it's made a big difference because that way you don't halfway through a practice session remember, oh, I was working on such and such, or
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get such and such better.
Hmm. And then as you learn new tricks, you just add them into that sequence.
Yeah, it's the type of it's the type of sequence where I don't think I wouldn't perform that particular sequence. It doesn't look, it doesn't look amazing, but it's more just an easy to remember
Hmm.
series of moves that mean that I can just keep, topping up what I've already learned.
Hmm. And we were talking a little bit I think we were talking about in the last interview, about cigar box juggling. And based on what you said about the cigar box juggling, maybe we were talking about this before the interview. Uh, then you were talking about rolling the boxes around your body, doing body rolls with cigar boxes. Is that influenced or inspired by your hat juggling?
Yeah, quite a bit. It's because I find that with the cigar boxes, because it's such a stop-start skill.
Mm-hmm.
Like in juggling, if you're running a pattern, you can constantly be correcting the pattern to figure out what's wrong. Whereas the cigar boxes are sort of like you're in a static position, boom, you've done the trick, and then if you've messed up, you have to really work out why you've messed up.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really get that continuous pattern to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I've started playing with, yeah, the idea of the body rules and stuff because it feels like it can be slightly more continuous as well and make tricks flow together.
Mm-hmm.
And I find again really working with the cigar boxes, I find getting the corner of the box or the sort of flat end of the box into the grooves of the palm and putting my index finger in the middle of the box up the back of it. Again, really pushing with that finger and flicking my wrist, trying to isolate as much of the control in my hand and wrist before it comes into contact with my body has has made a big difference and just given me that little bit more control over it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before I was just throwing a box at myself.
Right. Cool. Uh, what is one way that or one common mistake you see people practicing with hats make?
One of the things I found a lot with people that I've taught with or people that I've even just had hat jams with is just this sort of idea of your grip. There's a lot of sort of you have a general like fingers on the inside of the hat, thumb on the outside, or fingers on the outside of the hat, thumb on the inside grip. But it doesn't necessarily have to be those two grips. You
Hmm.
can, pinch the hat between your middle finger and index finger. You can grip the hat with your fingers on the inside and take your thumb out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a plethora of different grips that just
Mm-hmm.
aren't being used or utilized because you tend to have it set in your head that it's one grip or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And if, like, for example, if you're rolling the hat from a finger's inside grip up your arm onto your head, the sort of the classic, I always think of it as like a Michael Jackson
Mm-hmm.
trick. If like moving your thumb out of the way and keeping your thumb down beside your fingers as you roll it up makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a thumb in the way of the projection
Right.
or, yeah, finger
Yeah.
spins or thumb rules is all, doesn't have to be the same grip.
Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid to explore different grips,
Yeah.
different finger configurations.
Yeah.
That's we'll call it the technical term, hat finger configurations.
Yeah.
Or we could say how you finger the hat. I mean, if we want to go that way. All right. What about cigar boxes? One mistake you see commonly made when people practice cigar boxes or do cigar boxes.
Um, it's not so much a mistake, but there's an when you're holding the so for example, if you're doing three boxes and you're holding the outside two,
Mm-hmm.
you can hold the closer to the middle box that you hold those, the more control you have over the middle box,
Mm-hmm.
and also the less grip you have to give to the outside boxes.
Hmm.
So if one of the things that happens a lot in cigar boxes is your hands tend to cramp up a bit because you're really squeezing boxes and pushing them in at the same time.
Hmm.
The closer to the middle you hold, you can like very lightly hold it, and the fulcrum point of where it's kind of pushing against is right up beside where the grip is. So it makes it a lot easier and a lot less effort. And
Okay.
because cigar boxes already with the like every trick is pretty much a little squat,
Hmm.
it already takes quite a lot out of your legs. So
Hmm.
you don't want to take it out of the rest of your body as well.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely tolling, and yeah, you get sweaty. That's what I remember about cigar boxes.
Yeah.
um, Great. Well, that's great little tidbits on just how to practice those props better. Who has been kind of the last question? Who's been your biggest, or last couple questions? Who's been your biggest inspiration for cigar boxing and hat juggling?
Um, Biggest inspiration for cigar boxes is definitely Eric Bates.
Okay.
Just everything I've seen him done or do is amazing. And there's also a young.
Oh, Eric Bates, is he the he's the one that he like a year and a half ago he put out a cigar box and contact juggling video.
Oh no, that's Ed Cliff.
Oh, that was that clip. You're right.
Yeah,
I don't know who Eric Bates is. I'm gonna look him up.
yeah. I'll send you a couple of links. He's
Okay.
ridiculously good.
Yeah.
There's also a guy who I met a couple of years ago who we started jamming boxes together. A guy, Lucky, who's currently doing a trick a day for a year,
Hmm.
and he's up to, I think he's on trick 74.
Okay.
But he's been adding a new cigar box trick every day
Hmm.
since the
Yes. Send
1st of
me a link.
January.
Send me a link to him too.
Yeah,
And for hat juggling.
hat juggling. To be honest, there was a video that I always loved on juggling.tv of a man, Grant Goldie, performing hats.
Okay.
It's one of the top rated hat juggling videos on the site. And I always enjoyed his stuff. And then found out uh, that he lives in Belfast and he works in the same school that I work in, teaching.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, and got to meet him. And it was, yeah, he's just generally such a nice guy. And he helped me a lot at the start with just, just even by him practicing in the corner and then asking him a few tiny questions here and there. He really helped me quite a bit with hat juggling. And I
Cool.
still enjoy watching his video.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on a little bit of extra time, and I know it's late over there, and you look like you need a nap, so so we'll let you go.
And thank you very much again. It's been a pleasure.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being a patron.